Blue Lock episode 9 has finally aired. There's been a lot of discussion about this episode as we head into the last half of the game. Did the animation improve? Is this episode any good? What are the best and worst moments? And what is the community's reaction to this newest episode? On top of that, we got even more news about the rest of season 2 and the ending of it. There's a whole lot to talk about. I got everything you need to know, so let's get into it. There's a lot to break down, so let's keep it simple. Episode 9 of Blue Lock picks up at the halfway point between the games. Blue Lock is up in score 2-1 against the U20 Japan team, so now on both sides there's a lot of preparation and planning going into the second half, especially on the U20 Japan side. But the main focus of this episode was the Itoshi brothers' backstory. Rin and Sai get the focus this episode. Before the game resumes, we're getting the reasoning why Rin hates his brother so much and why they have this sort of rivalry that's been going on in previous episodes. All of it is explained here through a backstory, and I gotta say, I think they did a very good job on this specifically. Blue Lock has been kind of divided into 2 episodes. We have art-focused episodes where there isn't much animation needed, and those episodes are always done really good. For example, episode 1 and this episode right now, the visuals look really nice. But then we also have game-playing episodes, the actual football playing, where they need animation, and those are usually the episodes where people are disappointed because of the animation. Like I said earlier though, episode 9 was more focused on the art, and it looked very, very good. Rin and Sai talking in the sunset, the night snow scenes, just the ambiance was very good during these moments. They always make the art look very good. This has never been a problem. In fact, it's one of the big positives of Blue Lock Season 2 and why some people are still watching it. And I have to say, it really does set the mood for the backstory, especially with the voice acting and OSTs. In my opinion, this is some of the best that we've gotten in all of the episodes, which is a very high bar because the voice actors are really good in this anime. They're usually good, but this time around, they delivered even more. I think they conveyed all the emotions of Rin and Sai's backstory, along with the OSTs. That was beautiful. I think we got around 2 or 3 new OSTs for this episode. Most of them played during Sai and Rin's backstory, and these were amazing. Absolutely symphony for your ears. I think they fit the mood for every scene that they put them in. I'm glad they got this right and learned their lesson, because just a few episodes back, they had one continuous OST playing for around like 10 minutes, even over a whole goal, and it sounded straight out of Mario Kart. You would have thought it was Rainbow Road. The OSTs were beautiful, the voice acting killed it, and the art looked very good. Those are probably the best moments of this episode. That whole sequence was really good, but unfortunately, this episode still does have its faults. The one huge thing everyone is talking about is, of course, the cutout scenes from the manga. Specifically, Shido got one of his infamous moments cut out from this episode, and when we're talking about cutout, they pretty much fully skipped it. This moment is very different than the manga. Remember how we are in the second half of the match and Blue Lock is up 2-1 against the U20? This episode isn't just about Rin and Sai's backstory. We focus on how Blue Lock and the U20 team are feeling going into the halfway mark as well. Blue Lock is obviously feeling good, celebrating with one another, Ego giving a whole speech, but the U20 squad is absolutely crushed, and rightfully so. They underrated this team and lost the first half against a bunch of high schoolers as quote-unquote pro players. So now it's time for the U20 team to have their moment and fight back against Blue Lock. And with Itoshi Sai on the verge of leaving, all hope seems lost, but they had one ace up their sleeve, and it was obviously to bring in Shido for the last half to help turn things around. And this is what everyone is talking about. In the manga, we get a dialogue of the president confronting the coach and telling him to send in Shido Ryusei. And then the panel we got for it was him tying his shoes and the demon wing aura. This was super cool. It was Shido's introduction into the U20, and you just know stuff was about to go down. But in the anime, they decided to just do a close-up of his face, replacing the demon wing aura and him getting ready. Honestly, I have no words for this. It was a straight up zoom in on his face instead of adapting the manga, showing his aura or even his body at that. The demon wing aura, they've also adapted and shown before in previous episodes. It looked very good. So there isn't any reason to quote unquote save his aura when they've literally shown it before in previous episodes. It's really confusing why they decided to cut this, because it's ruining a moment that's a big turning point and creates so much hype. In fact, someone recreated it on Twitter, and this looks absolutely amazing. Imagine if we got something like this instead. Shout out to Necro Art as well, because this is amazing. Like, somehow even other people managed to do it as well. And to be honest, Shido has been getting done dirty. This isn't the only moment. His other goals that we see, both are just the PNG animations, and they also cut out a lot of his interactions with Rin and his rivalry with him. For example, Shido's philosophy versus Rin's philosophy after Isagi scores in the third selection, as well as just Shido's first introduction. If you're an anime only, you probably don't know what I'm talking about because it wasn't adapted. As well as his whole character looks different every other scene. It's not even Shido anymore, this is Shadow. And there's still a lot more they butchered or cut out in this episode specifically. They didn't include Shido's interaction with Rin when he first enters the pitch, as well as they changed the dialogue between Isagi and Rin during the halftime. Maybe they'll include it in the next episode, but the reason why this adaptation is scaring a lot of people is because Shido is a very important character in this match. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's very obvious he's going to have some important moments, and manga readers are very scared for his scenes, considering how he's been done dirty so far. They're even going off or not following the source manga. Itoshi Sai suffered from this in the last episode, and it all really has to do with the animation. We've seen them pull off amazing art. In fact, the Rin and Sai backstory was all amazing art, but animation has been a problem and is ruining the moments when they use it. Even in this episode, the very few seconds animation is required, like younger Rin is playing a game, it's still the same still images and PNGs moving across the screen. So if even the little times we see it, they're still using it, it makes sense that a lot of people are scared about the animation and the adaptation for the rest of this match, specifically in Shido's case. I will say, I think that's the worst part of this episode, the fact that they cut out Shido's scene, but let's talk about what you all have been waiting for. What is the community's reaction to this episode, and what is the news for the rest of season 2? Let's not beat around the bushes. The community's reaction to this episode was actually pretty good this time around. I saw a lot of positive and praise for Sai and Rin's backstory. It's well deserved as well, because I think they 100% delivered in their art department, OSTs, and voice acting. It gave a lot of anime onlys a good background into why Rin and Sai have a rivalry. I think this adaptation was very good, if not even better than the manga adaptation, since you're including the OSTs, the voice acting, the colored art. It's all done super well, and I saw a lot of people talking good about it. However, I saw a lot of concerns for the next episode as we go back into the main football and game playing. The second half is restarting, and this is really where the game starts. All those important moments are about to be adapted, and there's a lot of concern about those important moments, especially because of what happened with Shido. Itoshi Sai has already been done dirty in his moments. We're not beating the ballerina allegations, and this could be the same case for Shido and his moments. If they're already cutting out scenes for him now, they might even cut out or censor some of his scenes later. Manga readers definitely know what I'm talking about. Overall, this episode was enjoyable because it focused more on the plot. There wasn't any animation of ruining scenes, but it does suck though because plot is a given. That's always going to be good because the story is good. But when the animation and adaptation literally distracts or ruins the story, that's why people are talking about it and why so many people are disappointed. It isn't just story that makes up an anime. Animation also matters a lot too. All right, let's talk about the major news that we got about the final episodes of season 2 and the ending of the anime. So if you didn't know already, Blue Lock season 2 is a 14 episode season, and this is the 9th episode, which means we have 5 episodes left to go. However, we received some news about the final episodes, and this is that the 13th and 14th episodes are going to be airing back to back or releasing at the same time. So what does that mean? It means that we don't have to wait a whole week for the last episode. The last 2 episodes are going to air consecutively, which is very hype. I'm super excited to see that. I think this is an amazing decision because people don't have to wait on a dramatic cliffhanger. So I'm glad that they're airing it back to back so people don't have to wait. I hope that this decision to make it back to back though doesn't come at the cost of animation. We do know that bad scheduling is what made the season 2 animation worse in the first place. It all really comes down to the next few episodes as all the important moments roll out. Anyways, that's about it for this episode. Just catching you up on everything you need to know about the episode 9 and the anime. I'll see y'all in the next one.